Hello everybody, Rogue Fox here, and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition Redstone tutorial. Looking for more Redstone tutorials? Be sure to like and subscribe, and also be sure to check out the Truly Bedrock SMP series. In this Redstone tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a timer switch. Now, this circuit has multiple uses, and in this instance, for those who saw my video that I released the other day, I demonstrated this circuit in the form of a lava room where we need to cross the lava and get to the door on the other side. But obviously we can't swim across, we can't walk across. So what we need to do is activate the switch. That will cause, in this case, blocks to rise from the lava for us to cross, but you can also hear a ticking sound. Now, that ticking sound just sped up, so what that does is it lets the player know, hey, you're starting to run out of time, you better get across because bell rings again, blocks retract back into the lava, and you are kind of in a bad situation there if you didn't make it across. But let's go ahead and demonstrate that one more time. We activate the circuit. Now the circuit itself is very easy. I would call the ticking optional, but highly recommended, especially if you're making a adventure dungeon map, because it would be kind of nice to let the players know how much time they have to get across whatever it is you have planned for them. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. To make this redstone timer switch, you are going to need a 6x4 area. Now this 6x4 area is for the circuit itself. It doesn't have the optional things, in this case the ticking, which again I do highly recommend, but the circuit has so many different uses, maybe you don't need it to have a ticking sound, maybe you're using it for something else. That is why I'm going to do the circuit first, and then at the end of the tutorial I'll add on the additional things. But for those, you are going to need an additional block out and then 2 more back. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at our supplies. And there we go. There are all the supplies you're going to need for this circuit. So we have 2 droppers, 3 comparators, 1 repeater, 2 hoppers, 2 sticky pistons, 1 observer, 3 redstone torches, 4 redstone dust, 1 redstone block. I'm going to use a redstone lamp as a placeholder to show where the circuit would be going out to, wherever you want that to go. In this case, I used it going out to my pistons that extended the blocks from the lava. But this lamp will stay on during the duration of the circuit being on, and then of course will turn off once the circuit is finished. Other than that, you're going to need a stone button, your building blocks, and then your junk items for your timer. In this case, I'm going to use 32, but again, the beauty of the circuit is you can make this as slow or as fast as you'd like, so you can use a stack and a half, you can use 16 blocks, totally up to you, but for this example, I'm just going to stick with 32. With that being said, if you want to go ahead and pause the video, grab your supplies, and then we'll jump right into the build. To get things started, what we're going to do is come to this block right here, place a temporary block down, grab your dropper, place the dropper facing up like this, go ahead and remove that temporary block. Now place another temporary block on top of this dropper by crouch placing, like that. Place a block on top of that one, remove the temporary block, grab your other dropper, and place your dropper facing down, just like that. So this way the droppers are facing into each other. Now, let's go ahead and grab that stone button, come up to the top of this block, and place it right there. Now, in my example, this was wired up to my bell, but I'm going to go ahead and keep things simple for now. Go ahead and grab a block, place it right here, coming out from the bottom dropper. Grab a comparator, run that comparator out from the bottom dropper like this, and then run that comparator into a block like that. Come around to this side, we want to place a block right here. Get your repeater, place it down, leave that set to 1 tick. Place 2 more blocks down like this with redstone dust on top. Get your 2 redstone torches and place them down just like that. So that portion of the circuit is completed. All we need to do now is place a junk item in the top dropper like so. And also, at this point, we can go ahead and grab a redstone lamp and place it right there, because this is where it would go off to whatever circuit we'd like. So for this example, what we essentially did is created an RS NOR latch, and all that is we push this button, that pushes the item down into the bottom dropper, and that's going to stay there until this dropper gets powered, which will be the purpose of the circuit we're about to create. So eventually it'll make its way back around, and then activate the bottom dropper, just like this, and shut it off. For this next portion, what we're going to do is create an etho clock. So this is a hopper timer clock that's been around Minecraft for a very, very long time. We're just kind of building off of the idea and making it what we have today. So let's go ahead and place a temporary block down like this. We want to run a hopper into that temporary block. remove that temporary block, and then crouch place the hopper into this one so they look just like that. Now go ahead and place blocks on both sides. Get your comparators, run a comparator out from both of the hoppers like that. And what we're going to do is run those comparators into blocks like this with redstone dust on top. Grab your sticky pistons, place a sticky piston facing towards the hoppers like this, and then the same goes for the other side. Now go ahead and place your redstone block down right there, and then we're going to go ahead and place in our junk items into the hopper with the redstone block on top. So right now we have this in place. Nothing is moving. Now this is kind of what's a little different and what we've added on to this clock is at this point, if we didn't have these redstone torches, let's go ahead and remove them. This clock would always be running. So you can see all the items are going from this hopper into this hopper, and then it will always go back and forth, back and forth. So again, the circuit has been around for quite some time, and it'll just keep going and going, which is why we have it stopped by those redstone torches. Let me go ahead and remove these blocks and put them back where they need to go, because we don't want this clock operating until we tell it to. With that, let's go ahead and place a redstone torch right here. We're going to grab our observer, and notice this is going to invert because this is being powered, and then we're going to have an observer detecting this, and then we're going to place a block right there, which is then going to power that bottom dropper. And believe it or not, this circuit is finished. So let's go ahead and give it a test run. We have the stone button here. Again, in my example, it was wired up to my bell that we hit. So we're going to activate it. The item is going to go down into the bottom dropper, get detected by the comparator, which is then going to power this block, which will then power our circuit. And then also, it's going to power this, inverting the torches, allowing the clock to actually move, as you see right there. So it's going to go by on this side one more time. This is when the ticking would get quicker if we had that option. And then it's going to go back. This redstone torch right here is going to quickly invert enough to get detected by this observer, which is then going to power this block, which is then going to power this bottom dropper, sending the item back up to the top, thus turning off the circuit and locking the clock back up again. Hopefully that made sense, but with that, this is the circuit completely finished. Okay, so you want to go ahead and add that ticking sound to your clock. That is actually very easy. What we're going to do is grab some more hoppers. You'll need 4 more hoppers. Let's go ahead and place a temporary block there, run that hopper into the temporary block, and then run this hopper into that hopper, just like we did right here, like that. Then go ahead and place one junk item inside the hopper like so, and then grab a comparator, just like we did here, place a comparator coming out of this hopper, and then a comparator coming out of that hopper. Now to make the ticking sound that I had, what we need to do is place glass blocks down like this, and then place your note block on top. So we have a note block here and a note block there. So let's go ahead and change this tone so you can hear the ticking sound that we have. Let's go ahead and press the button. So as the first phase of this is running, we have our ticking sound, and then what we're going to do next is set up the other portion of it. So when this redstone block moves over to right here, just like that, then the other ticking would come into play. Now that this has set back to where it needs to be, let's go ahead and place a temporary block right there, run a hopper into that temporary block. We're going to do the same thing, remove that temporary block, and run this hopper into that one, just like this. And on this side, against the redstone block, place one more junk item inside of that hopper. So that way it's going to keep it in place, and it's not going to move over until this moves over to there. From here, let's go ahead and place a temporary block there. Block here, another block out, place another glass block down with your note block, and let's say 3 times. So we have 3 different notes. Now for this one, run a comparator out from that hopper, so when the item comes over into this hopper, it's going to be detected. And then for here, throw down a repeater and set it to 3 ticks, and that will give us the proper distance in the sound, or the proper separation, however you like to word it. But let me just go ahead and demonstrate it. So we're going to press it. We have the initial clock going down below, and then when the redstone block moves over, it's going to activate this one. There we go. So we have all 3 notes, and this is what I was talking about. Let's say we have it on 4 ticks. Sounds weird. 1 tick does nothing. 2 ticks is weird. So again, 3 ticks is the sweet spot to give us the perfect separation in the notes. We're going to go ahead and run this one more time so you can hear it for yourself. And there we have it. And to take this one step further, let me show you the setup I had for my example. Now remember, I had the bell hanging from the wall, which was being detected by an observer, and then of course you would run that observer with the redstone line going all the way down to the circuit. In this case, I'm just going to keep it right here to keep it simple, and then we ring the bell. That activates the circuit. Again, the circuit is on, the clock is doing its thing. I did shorten the clock. And then what's going to happen is when the item goes back up to this top dropper, that will be detected by this comparator and ring that bell, letting you know that the circuit has shut off. So one more time, just so you can see the whole thing in action. Now the timer's halfway through, warning the player, hey, you better get across to where we need to go, and then it shuts off. And of course, the switch doesn't have to be a bell, it can be a target block. It can be a button, or it could be a pressure plate. Again, you have so many different options of what you can do with this circuit, and that's what I love about it. So many different ways to activate it, and on top of that, you can make it as short or as long as you'd like. And that's how you make a redstone timer switch. As I said throughout the video, there are so many different uses and possibilities for this circuit. I hope this video has inspired you to come up with something very creative and very fun for your own type of adventure or dungeon map, or maybe even thought of something that you can use the circuit for that I haven't thought of. That's the beauty of these redstone tutorials. You can make anything you want out of these circuits. But with that being said, everyone, this is going to be the end of today's redstone tutorial. I really hope you all enjoyed. This has been Rogue Fox, and I will see you later.